You're listening to WCOM LP 103.5 FM Carborough and Chapel Hill. It's a Tuesday, it's 5 o'clock, and that only means one thing. It's time for another round of Snarky Faith with your host, Stuart Deloney. This is a space where we irreverently wrestle through life, culture, and spirituality, all with our heads in the clouds, our tongues in our cheeks, our hearts in our sleeves, and our feet on the ground. At Snarky Faith, the questions or even the answers are never the point. It's all about the conversation. So here's your host, Stuart Deloney.
Good afternoon and welcome to another round of Snarky Faith Radio. I'm your host, Stuart Deloney, and welcome here another week with Snarky Faith. I hope everyone's week is going exceedingly well. Mine's all right so far. It's a Tuesday, so I can't necessarily complain where we're at. And what I want to do, and how we're going to spend our next just about an hour of time, if you're going to be hanging out here with Snarky Faith, we're going to be talking about several things. You'd hope several things here. But I've been having this idea that's kind of been bouncing around in my head, and if you're a listener of the show who's been like listening to our past couple episodes too, I feel like I've been in this weird kind of state, like an existential state, where I'm just kind of questioning about a bunch of things, which is not terribly different for the range of the show. And I go in and out of seasons of this kind of deconstruction, reconstruction, then kind of existential, like what's wrong with the world today and what's going on. And so I've been pondering this essential idea of why does Christianity say they love Jesus so much, but kind of like, I don't know, the thought I've been having over and over again lately has just kind of been, hey, Christianity, like, do you actually take Jesus' teaching seriously? Do you take all this love stuff seriously? Do you take all this self-sacrificial stuff seriously? And so in going through that and going through kind of like the general show prep that I do on a regular basis, which is just kind of spending way too much time on the internet looking for different articles and trying to find themes that kind of knit together. And I kind of stumbled onto an article that was about Jimmy Carter's faith and speaking out about what they're referring to, what they're referring to as is Christian socialism. So we're going to dive in to a talk about Christian socialism today. Not necessarily saying I'm endorsing anything here, but we're going to do this really just for my own catharsis, and also hopefully you'll find some of the conversation pieces that we're going to be having today very interesting. And as I say that, we should go ahead and begin our show with the Christian crazy. Because you can't start at a better place. If we're going to be talking about the virtues of Christianity and socialism, we should go ahead and by talking about what it's not. Let's go ahead and talk about the insanity that is Christianity, its obsession with money, power, and all of those other things. And so, yes, I have culled together the worst of the worst for us to essentially just deconstruct, mock, whatever you want to call it. But without further ado, here is our weekly Christian Crazy.
Lord have mercy. The Lord is my shepherd. He know what I want.
So one of the hallmarks of the Christian Crazy is the fact that we are bringing together all of the con men, the charlatans, the grifters, the whatever you want to call them, the guys that are selling their snake oil and ripping people off. And no one does this better than Jim Bakker. Jim Bakker's been doing this for years, ruining lives and lining his pocketbook for years. And usually we kind of speak about snake oil salesmen, metaphorically speaking, not literally speaking, but you know, there's been a lot of problems in the world today, and Jim knows how to sell you what you need, whether it's end times food buckets or when we have an outbreak of a deadly virus. Well, who's going to have the answer? The Jim Bakker Show it is. You bet your sweet ass it does. So, Jim, what are you selling us now?
God gave us this product,
Yes.
I believe. Yes. and
How
we're
many
talking
years ago
about
did
the
we get
silver
this
soul.
product, I wonder?
He gave this to us about 10, 12 years ago
Yeah.
with
And
Frank.
we have it at our home.
Yes.
We have it in cases. We use it all the time. I have this, and I mean, I don't think I'd have made it without silver. It for my throat and all that.
Absolutely.
Because I've had this, and this is amazing.
Why is
What-
silver so?
Would you recommend, as a doctor, people to have silver in their house for a pandemic?
You never want to be without silver.
I mean, this is true. You really don't want to be without silver, like, because everyone knows it's coming up pretty soon. We're going to be in werewolf season before you know it. You don't want to be without your silver. Now, this stuff, Baker comes on the air to hawk every once in a while. The last time that he was talking about this, he was claiming that it would cure venereal disease because he knows. I'm not really sure, but it keeps getting better. It keeps getting better. It keeps getting worse.
This is a staple. Talk about
Yes,
staples.
it is a staple.
This is a staple for your family.
Yes.
And we can talk more about it. Maybe we have more time.
Yeah,
but
we got time.
all I can say is that it has been proven by the government that it has the ability to kill every pathogen it has ever been tested on, including SARS and HIV.
I mean, this stuff kills everything except for Jim Baker because apparently he takes this all the time. And I'm a little disappointed in it because I kind of feel like he's some sort of a virus that continues to live on and on. But I love it. I love these answers, how it comes. Like, so it's been proven by government. It's... I love how they're selling this. Like, yes, doctors like this. So does science and government too. So this doctor, air quotes, I'm not even sure who she is, but it just does everything. And especially now that we are worried about the coronavirus, apparently China needs this. They're not watching the Jim Baker show. So that's why we're having a problem. But don't you worry, folks. Don't you worry.
This influenza that is now circling the globe, you're saying that silver solution would be effective.
Well, let's say it hasn't been tested on this strain of the coronavirus, but it's been tested on other strains of the coronavirus and has been able to eliminate it within 12 hours.
Yeah.
Totally eliminate it, kills it, and deactivates it.
Yeah.
And then it boosts your immune system, so then you can support the recovery, because when you kill the virus, then the immune system comes into action to clear it out. So you want a vibrant immune system as well as an ability to deactivate these viruses.
That's so good.
That's so good. And so good. All that it does, it deactivates viruses. And I'm pretty sure it's deactivated my brain. Right, Jim? It's so good. It's so good. No, but literally, this is one of the great examples here of the worst of Christianity. This is the worst, where we are selling lies. I mean, there's levels of selling lies, but literally they're selling lies in a bottle and promising people that it will deactivate. It will deactivate the virus because that sounds scientific. It cures you within 12 hours. Whoa! Why doesn't everyone else know this? Why aren't we? Actually, you know what? Jim's a total a-hole. If he should be telling everyone this. I mean, he's trying to get the word out. Aren't you listening? Aren't you listening, people? We don't need to have any more deaths with the coronavirus. You just need to buy this silver solution because that sounds scientific. Oh, goodness. Oh, Jim, it's always a pleasure to have you on your show. You piece of trash. So when it comes to talking about one piece of garbage, let's transition to another piece of garbage that's giving us false hope about the coronavirus, how we can stay well. At least when Jim was dishing out his BS, and after you paid your fees, you at least had something to hold on to, but not Pastor Harold Kuhneman. Oh no. Harold's prayers are enough. They are more than enough to protect you and America and America from the coronavirus. Oh, wait. Hold a second. There are people that do have it in America now, so I'm not really sure how this prayer covering is working. I don't know. I'm overthinking this. I'm not living in this spirit. My faith is not enough. That's my problem here. So Harold, tell us how you're going to save us.
And because of the administration that stands in this land, who honor me, who honor the covenants of your forefathers and of the Constitution, and because they have aligned themselves with Israel.
Quick side note here, just for you all to know this, that if you ever want to be a super duper Christian, like a mega amazing Christian, one that's like better than any other Christian, like the ones that can sit in a chair of judgment on all others that are lesser than you in the world type of a Christian, you know those ones, only the best ones. Okay, quick tip. You have to pronounce Israel like Israel. So just do this. So Harold knows more than the rest of us because he likes to say Israel when he is praying. I don't know. But all I know is it's a good thing the administration is keeping us safe from stuff. I don't know. Harold, just finish. Just finish. I already feel dirty.
And because they have sided on the right side of life in the womb, life given outside of the womb. Therefore, I give life to this nation and I give mercy. Do not fear. This virus is the Spirit of God.
So Harold is putting himself in kind of as the mouthpiece of God in this, and apparently because of Trump and whatever other rambling stuff. Hey, folks, don't worry about it. Don't worry. Cast your worries aside. God's already said, not this coronavirus, not this place, not now. So, we're all being fools for worrying about pandemics and things like that. Who cares? Harold has prayed. Let us all rejoice and run around in Wuhan, China, giving open mouth kisses to whoever's will. No, I don't know. We probably shouldn't do that. We probably should not do that. But that's just not really how things work. But thanks for trying, Harold. Thanks for trying. And if you haven't caught like a recurring theme here in the Christian Crazy, like over the weeks, or even just today, if you're just tuning in today, is that there is within these crazy conservative right-wing nut jobs, there is this obsession with the administration, as was mentioned earlier, or President Trump. There's this weird, creepy love affair, this idol cult worship of him, and I haven't had this next gentleman much on our show. This is E.W. Jackson, who is a right-wing pastor and radio host. So see if you can spot it. See if you can spot the fanboyness. I'll let it roll for a little bit, but just see if you can spot where things are going awry and why these men of God are so horny for Trump is beyond me. But just see. I think you can do it. I believe in you. And it's also the most obvious thing in the world. So let's go ahead.
You know, I'm convinced that a lot of this criticism of the president also has to do with his masculinity.
I told you. I'm sorry. This is only too good. So Trump's too much of a man. He's a man's man. He's the Pillsbury Doughboys man. I don't even what are we even talking about here? What he's too much of a man. That's why people oppose him, because of his masculine stature, his Adonis-like figure, his intellect that is that of a rock. What? I don't even understand this. Things like this, when people say there's Trump derangement syndrome. I don't have Trump derangement syndrome, but This is like laughing gas to me because it's so far removed from reality. And I'm not trying to just necessarily, I'm not trying to, I am a little bit, I'm not really trying to necessarily body shame our doughboy in chief. But what I am getting at is the fact that his followers think that he is such a manly man, that he needs to be in like the Expendables. I mean, he's old enough and he literally is expendable as a human, but he is not any kind of what you would think of as an alpha man, such a ladies' man, such a stud. I mean, he's a grab him by the pussy kind of guy, but being too manly, being just too manly that we can't handle it, that's great. That is great. And honestly, E.W. Jackson, I'll let you finish. Go ahead. Say what you need to say.
He's a man. And, the left doesn't like manhood. They're always putting manhood down. Toxic masculinity, white men, men are the problem. And I think the president, frankly, is just too much of a man for them.
Okay, I see where he's going with this. Okay, so apparently a pastor's definition of manhood is the thing that is opposite of toxic masculinity. So in his mind, yeah, he's a man like Harvey Weinstein's a man that goes around exposing himself to others, a man who grabs them by the pussy, who ejaculates in plants like Louis C.K. He's that kind of a man. The old man that was misogynistic and horrible and rapey and, that kind of a man. Now, if that is what your definition of a man is, being a deplorable human being that is running on white privilege, that treats women like objects, that really disregards the rest of humanity, if that, Mr. Jackson, if that is your version of manness, then sure, he's that. He's the worst of what men could be. He is the least ideal of any kind of man that, like, when God created mankind and womankind, but when God was creating like the male species, this is as far from what God's mind was when he created Donald Trump. Someone that oppresses others, that demeans others, that is hateful and vindictive to others, that lies, that cheats, that tears people down, that grabs people and hurts people and assaults people and rapes people. So yeah, that is like, if that, E.W. Jackson, if that's your definition of man that you're saying that folks hate about Trump, yeah, I do. I don't think toxic masculinity is in the Bible or was God's intention. What are you a pastor of? I don't even know. But yeah, sorry. Trump's just too much of a man for me. He's just too much of a man for me. Just like Ted Bundy was. Oh, so much of a man. So much of a man. So I guess on the theme that we're moving through, talking about toxic masculinity, especially within Christianity, we have Dave. Next, we have Dave Dobbenmeyer. Now, I usually do not bring Dave on here because Dave is kind of a particular brand of disgusting toxic masculinity. I mean, there's the kind we can make fun of, and then there's the other kind where you're just like, that's just nasty. That's just awful what you're saying. That's just pure hate. And I don't like that usually because we try to keep the Christian crazy here lighthearted and fun. But Dave made national news complaining about the halftime show that apparently this happened back right after the Super Bowl. Dave was complaining on his show that he was very upset. He was very upset and was actually considering suing the NFL, essentially because the halftime show made him too horny. Yep, that's a thing. He was very upset about this. He somehow could not turn off his television and was just zeroed in upon women dancing and seeming empowered at the same time. So apparently, Yeah, Dave needed to sin, and it's the NFL's fault for making him want to sin? I don't know, but that's, I guess, what happens when we don't see women as human beings. We just see them as objects. I don't know, Dave. I don't know. But Dave is taking it further. And it's so nutty. It's so nutty. It fits perfectly into what we'll kind of transition into today as well too. So let's go ahead and give Dave just enough rope to hang himself on, with his own words, because that's what most of the folks do on the Christian Crazy. So hey, Dave, tell me about this demonic portal and this demonic virus that you have now, because I'm thinking you may need some silver, because that stuff will clean anything out. Just call Jim Baker. But Dave, go ahead.
What if there's a spirit that accompanies the visual of pornography? What if that opens us up? Dare I say it? What do they call it? A portal, Randy? A threshold? What if just sitting in the spiritual realm I'm talking about now? Folks, listen, the natural world, they're not going to understand this. They're not going to get it. Okay? Those of us who have eyes to see, let us see. Let us see and understand. What if sitting in there watching that soft pornography dance across our TVs? What if there's a spiritual component to that? What if there's something that comes through out of my screen?
Now let me pause just to remind you, he is talking about the Super Bowl halftime show, not pornography. I mean, that's his opinion, but yeah, you kind of get where he's going with this.
So here comes some little guy, and there comes J-Lo's crotch. What if there's something, waves or something, some force that comes off of that?
Hey, Coach.
What do they call that stuff? Dopamine? What if that unleashes something in my brain? What if it's like really and truly infecting me with a virus? What if it is really like that,
See, so now what we're learning now is don't worry about the coronavirus. All these prophets ahead that have already spoken today, they already knew. They already knew this, and it doesn't matter because now we're worried about spiritual STDs that apparently come from J-Lo's crotch through TV waves into the spiritual realm and a portal, and it goes and it takes a subway and then it goes around and eventually they come to you through your television. And then it gets translated through a broadcast signal that then goes into you. And then next thing you know, it stings when you go tinkle in the toilet. So yeah, what is this world coming to? Spiritual pandemics. Gonna get the spiritual STDs. And you remember, what do you need for that?
I mean, I don't think I'd have made it without silver.
So just remember that you can get STD now from the TV, but Jim Baker also wants you to know that silver cures venereal disease. I'm assuming even spiritual venereal disease too. Those kind of spiritual diseases it works on. So, all in fun. So I mention all of this, and if you've noticed that we've kind of gone through a bit of toxic masculinity, right? A little bit of the worst part of what it means to be a Christian man. But there's worse, because after all of this crazy that we've got here, the Southern Baptists said, "Hold my beer," except for they always say, "Hold my beer," so. Hold my hypocrisy. I can one-up you here. So there's an upcoming Southern Baptist Pastors Conference that the conference had booked a woman, Hosanna Wong, who is a female pastor. And they booked her to speak at this. Clutch the pearls. What's going on here? Oh, no. And I will tell you this. Hosanna Wong is a teaching pastor at Eastlake Church. Okay, so she is a teaching pastor, and she is going to be speaking at a Southern Baptist pastors conference, and a lot of the pastors are freaking out about this because, oh no, women can't speak to us. Cover your ears. Oh no, what's going to happen to us? Maybe we're going to get spiritual STDs. Oh no, it'll be like the Super Bowl all over again. What are we going to do? Oh, Southern Baptists, you just keep on being misogynistic and terrified of women because men somehow can't bring themselves, gosh, why is it that so many Christian men cannot bring themselves to see women as humans and not objects? Like the thing that they blame culture doing so many times, they do the same thing. We've got the Billy Graham rule. We can't, there's all this stuff because, women cause men to sin. No, you idiot. You cause yourself to sin. You make the choice. A woman doesn't make you do that. You're just a deplorable, disgusting human being. So let's show the Southern Baptist Convention's group of pastors. Go ahead. You guys get in the line with Christian crazy too. Oh, wonderful. Look what good work we've done today. Da-da-da. So transitioning over to talking about our main story that I had mentioned at the top of the hour too. And I'm going to just kind of just review a little bit some of my thought process of what I'm going through here. That we're going to eventually be talking about Christian socialism. Kind of what is it? What does it look like? And why it shouldn't be that scary. But I began really in my thought process. I've really been wrestling around with in many different facets and forms in my head lately is just really asking that question to Christianity, saying, hey, Christianity, why don't you take the words of Jesus seriously anymore? Or simply, Christianity, what the hell's wrong with you? The other way sounded a little bit better. So we'll kind of be going on a journey today, and I hope it'll make sense along the way as we're doing this. So, first article. This comes from Religion News Services. And it's an article called Prophets Are the Social Critics, Not Fortune Tellers. Now, and I felt like this was an interesting piece to kind of bridge from the folks in the Christian crazy that typically, most of them will declare themselves as prophets. And I will always laugh when that happens. I have met many a swindler, salesman, pastor, whatever you want to call them over the years. I've been to pastors' conferences. I've been in many awkward situations and met many awkward people. People that had literally on their business cards titles like prophet, visioneer, stupid, dumb title. You're just a pastor. You're not more special than anybody else. You're just a human. But what got me thinking in this article by Thomas Reese was the fact that the word prophet has become overused. Overused like many other words in Christianity, like love and grace and forgiveness and compassion. Those kind of words that should mean something within Christianity, but that kind of today really don't. Where church should mean something like a gathering of God's people that are there to go and make the world a better place. But when we think about it, we really just think of oppressive cages where children are stored into called children. No. But yes. So again, yeah, that's a longer issue I have of really wanting to recapture words or to just come up with new words because the old ones kind of suck now because folks have taken them over and given them new meanings. But here's what I wanted to point out too on this article, and it's going to transition into our talking about Christian socialism quite well. And let's just go ahead and hop into it. So, Thomas Reese says this. He says, many people think of prophets as fortune tellers who predict the future. In reality, they are much more like social critics or op-ed writers. They challenge political and religious leaders, and their people do what God wants them to do. They frequently attack political and economic elites for not taking care of the poor. They even criticize foreign entanglements and wars. They frequently do so with harsh words. What? No, I'm not saying this show is prophetic. I'm not doing that. I'm not saying those guys are not, but this one is. But I think returning to that kind of a prophetic nature of being able to speak truth to power, to speak the truth when when people are being squashed, when atrocities are happening, and when people are doing stuff, especially in the name of God, where we know they're not doing things in the name of God. American Christianity, have any problems with this so far? I think you do. Sorry. The article goes on to say this. Isaiah spoke in this tradition. And in last Sunday's reading from the book of Isaiah, Isaiah chapter 58, chapter 58, verses 7 through 10, he has the Lord telling people and their leaders to, quote, share your bread with the hungry, shelter the oppressed and the homeless, clothe the naked. Now, despite this exhortation, 11%, which is 14 million U.S. households, were food insecure during 2018. We have 6 million children that lived in households that they are food insecure. And also, as the article continues, we were also less welcoming to the oppressed. The U.S. plans to admit only 18,000 refugees during the fiscal year of 2020, the lowest number since 1980, when Congress enacted the program. Meanwhile, there are an established 70.8 million refugees in the world, and the number keeps increasing. What are we taking in 2020? Let's say it again, 18,000. Yeah, thanks, Trump. Thanks for nothing. The article continues saying, nor is the homelessness situation any better. More than 550,000 Americans experience homelessness on a typical night, and 1.4 will spend some time in a shelter in a given year. The situation around the world is even worse. And Isaiah goes on to say, and remove from your midst oppression, false accusations, and malicious speech. Remove from your midst oppression, false accusations, malicious speech. What? Is that just Trump on Twitter? Huh? Sorry, let me continue. Racism, sexism, and homophobia still oppress whole categories of people. And as for the false accusations and malicious speech, good luck with that during an election year. I cannot say how much I thought this is a very timely article, because it continues to remind us this. Reminds these pastors, the crazy ones, and the ones that go under the radar for being crazy, that just do small town oppression, small town racism, small town sexism, small town homophobia, small town misogyny and bigotry. You know, those ones that don't make the headlines. But it's good to remind all of this because, as we know from the Bible, they will know that you are Christians by your love. They will know that we follow Christ by our love. And we stand at a place in history, the history of this country, but also in the place in this world. And this is what's been bothering me lately when we're going through all of this 2020 mess with all these politicians making all these kind of promises. The thing that continues to hit me more and more again is that we are at a place, we are at a place in history where we have the ability, we have the means, we have the organization, we have the money, and the education to be able to solve the world's problems. We really do. And I know that we get caught up squabbling about nation states and who needs this and what, that, and the other. We're all just really just fighting over scraps. All the while, large populations of the U.S. and of the world are suffering and dying. And the thing that just keeps bothering me in my faith, as I told you, I'm kind of having like existential issues here, is that we have the ability to fix the problems of the world. Humanity has it in our hands. God has given us the intellect to do it. We have enough resources to be able to make sure no one goes hungry again across the globe. But we don't do it. And why don't we do it? Simply put, we're selfish. There's no other. I feel like the sin of selfishness is the answer for all of this, because we don't want to. We don't want to. We say we peace, but we don't want to. We don't want it. Because peace, for us to be able to go do this, for us to feed the hungry, to create peace around the world, it means us having to give up power, us having to give up privilege, us having to give up status and stature and resources as well, too. But for the good of humanity, is it possible? Absolutely. But as I've been told for preaching like this before in churches, what are you, a bunch of hippies? That's not realistic. I understand it's not realistic, but I think it needs to continue to bother us that all of this problem that we're seeing here, whether it be from global warming, climate change, to things like hunger, poverty, to things like sex traffic and trade, we can help people out of these suffering places. We can help them if we're just willing to quit being selfish. If we're willing to be able to see the humanity in the other, we can do it. Sorry, that's my aside there. I don't mean to go too deep into that. But it does. It fits in and it informs a lot of what we're talking today. And as what I'm mentioning here, wanting to bring out these ideas of Christian socialism, there is no better place you go on the internet There probably should be. For simple definitions of things, then Wikipedia. So Wikipedia's definition of Christian socialism is this. It is a form of religious socialism based on the teachings of Jesus of Nazareth. Weird. Many Christian socialists believe that capitalism to be idolatrous, rooted in greed, which some Christian denominations also consider a mortal sin. Christian socialists identify the cause of inequality to be greed that they associate with capitalism. Now, there are many problems in this world. Capitalism is one of them. There have been great strides that have come within capitalism, but we do not operate within an ethical capitalist system. We operate in I will get ahead and I will get more by stepping on you system. That kind of a system. And I know the term socialism is kind of like a boogeyman. And when people bring things up, there's no better place to go find boogeyman than going to stupid articles like they have over on the Christian Post. Sorry. But they wrote this back. This is back in 2016 when we had Bernie 1.0 running against Trump and Hillary at that time. So they'd posted this article for the 5 reasons socialism is not Christian. And so they're doing this really, really, really to be able to scare you. So one thing I want to remind people as we're going into this, when we begin to talk about socialism, we're talking about politics, we're talking about Christianity, we're talking all about this, is that much of life exists on different planes. Like everything in life is not on the same spectrum. There's different spectrums that we're using to compare stuff with. There's different, you're tracking with me, I hope. And with this, I believe that Christians can chew gum and walk at the same time. I believe that we can walk out the tenets of Jesus, but also do so in a manner within America, within Mexico, within wherever you are. I believe that we can walk out our ethics, our beliefs, and the teachings of Jesus in a way that makes sense, okay? So the way that they're beginning their piece against socialism here comes from really the argument that the right always uses against this. They'll say, oh, what about Marx? Oh, what about Russia? Oh, look at all this. Oh, it's, so yes. So we're going after this. No, and guess what? Yeah. Does it all work the way Marx wanted it to work? And especially within the incubator that was Russia at the time? No, it did not work. We're not stupid. We can see it didn't work. Haha. But are we smart enough at this point in history to be able to say, it may have not all worked in that way, but hey, what can we learn from that? And what can we pick out? Let's pick the meat off the bones and figure out what we can use moving forward, because it's not all a bad idea. Wanting to take care of those in culture? What? Wanting to make sure that people don't go hungry? Huh? Yeah. So there are 5 reasons that socialism is incompatible with Christianity. Is that socialism is based on a materialistic worldview. And, within Christianity, I won't mock. I'll just read. I'll let their own words mock. Okay, so the article says this worldview contradicts Christianity, which affirms the existence of both material and non-material world. Really? And teaches that mankind's greatest problems are spiritual. Both. I see again, chewing gum and walking at the same time. Because really, we can't somehow extricate ourselves from like the natural world and the spiritual world and be like, oh, well, here we do this. And here. No, we are a collective of a being that has a spirit, a soul, it has a body. We are people that have to wrestle with all of these things. Okay, let me continue. They say this. The Bible says the cause of suffering is sin, and salvation is found in the cross of Christ, which liberates us from sin. Because of sin, there will always be inequalities in wealth. And as the parable of the talents shows, those with good character tend to accumulate more, and those with bad character may lose everything that they have. So, let me take a moment of contemplation. A moment of deep, deep, deep spiritual contemplation to really we're going to unpack that last statement they had there, because in all honesty, in the depths of my faith, my answer to that is, fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you who says good characters tend to accumulate more, with those with bad characters, they have less. Fuck off. I'm serious. Fuck off. In the holiest way I can tell you this. Fuck off. There, I got that out of my system. Because, as we know, Jesus was a wealthy man. Paul was a wealthy. Wait, no, huh? Not really. Oh, Jesus must have been he wasn't a man of high character. Or I can think of many other parables. Geez, yes, about this, because again, that's my issue. Think of parables. Okay, my kiddies, my boys and girls out there. Think of parables like word problems. Jesus is giving real life scenarios that we're trying to be able to figure out what are the ethics of God's kingdom in there. Okay, let me give you another parable. There's a parable where workers are hired at the beginning of the day. They're said they're going to get paid a certain wage. More workers are hired at the middle of the day. Some workers are hired towards the end of the day. They all get paid the same amount. Jesus told that parable too. Why is he saying that? Because in God's currency, everyone matters. Everyone matters. Now, I'm not saying that people shouldn't work hard and people should get suffer free. No, but that weird causality, thanks, Christian Post, for that one. That bizarre and weird and evil causality is just disgusting. They go on to say that socialism punishes virtue. Again, by trying to say, they're assuming that those that are suffering either from hunger, from homelessness, from other issues around the world, it's because they're not working hard enough. Because certainly Bernie Madoff was a man of high virtue. That's how he earned his money. Certainly Jeff Bezos is a man of high virtue because he doesn't want to pay taxes. Yes, so really, and Trump is a man of questionable wealth, and he's also a man of high virtue. Let's think of that too, yes. They go on to say that socialism endorses stealing. Because socialists don't believe in private property. Okay, fine. Again, you're taking this to the furthest the furthest part of the spectrum and teasing it out in that manner. When we're talking about socialism, especially when it comes to Medicare for all in America, the thing that's scaring people is not about stealing people's private property. It's about people taking care of others within our country, that we are better together as we work together. They're saying here that socialism encourages envy and class warfare. Okay. There's no class warfare and problems now. That income inequality is at one of the worst levels that we've had in the history of our country. I don't know. Because they're trying to say here, thanks, Christian Post, that literally quote this. The rich are not causing all the problems in American society. People like Bill Gates are not acquiring wealth by stealing from the masses. They're creating great products which produce great wealth and actually provide jobs for many people. But even if they were exploiting the poor, nowhere does Scripture support the have-nots demanding money from the haves. Okay. You can't have it both ways. Are we exploiting people or not? But Scripture doesn't talk about not exploiting. Actually, it does. This is just... And then fifth, as of course I have to throw in here, it's just a dumb idea. Socialism seeks to destroy marriage and the family. Sure, fine, whatever. I'm not even... So, of course, because somehow we as human beings cannot think. We cannot think, and we have issues like this. It just throws us all askew. And if we want anything that seems socialistic in nature, like healthcare for everyone, that most of the other industrialized nations have, it doesn't mean that we are going all in on what happened in the experiment of socialism in Russia. It doesn't mean that. We can pick the meat from the bones. We can figure out what works, because we're not all idiots. Like somehow the Christian Post thinks you are, because if you take their boogeyman scaring, ooh, it's going to get you. It's going to get you. Socialism's going to get you. Get you. Even though Jesus is known for telling us to give to the poor. The Old Testament is littered from this in Deuteronomy 10. He, the Lord your God, tells you to execute justice for the fatherless and the widow and loves the sojourner. giving him food and clothing, love the sojourner, and therefore you were sojourners in the land of Egypt. Psalm 82, give justice to the weak and the fatherless, maintain the right of the afflicted and the destitute, rescue the weak and the needy, deliver them from the hand of the wicked. James says this in the New Testament. Come now, you rich, weep and howl for the miserables that are coming upon you. Your riches have rotted, and your garments are moth-eaten. Your gold and silver, your gold and silver have rusted, and the rust will be evidence against you and will eat your flesh like fire. You have laid up for treasure for the last days. Behold the wages of the laborers who mowed your fields, which you have kept back by fraud. Cry out, and the cries of the harvester have reached the ears of the Lord of hosts. You have lived on earth in luxury and pleasure. You have fattened your hearts in the days of slaughter. Jesus talks about giving to the poor. Most of Jesus' messages that would have scared Romans and most likely led to his political death on the cross was the fact that he was talking out against the empire. That in God's kingdom, the currency, the rules are different. So again, I am not endorsing socialism here, but I am endorsing caring for those amongst us, caring for those, and being able to see what are the merits of these ideas. You don't have to take it all. Take the merits out. Take the good stuff out. Take the good stuff out and be able to use it. You know why? People have been using this as a boogeyman for years. I stumbled onto this article recently on the National Review, which is a conservative political outlet, and it caught me because the article is entitled "The Light at the End of the Tunnel of Love: Jimmy Carter's Christian Socialism." And as I was seeing this, I was like, oh, they're hearkening back to the time of Jimmy Carter. No, this is a republish. This is a republish of an article from November 12th, 1976 of the National Review. And they, in their little preface here, are talking about, they're warning us about Bernie Sanders that is, quote, that is a true menace to the American project and to unalienable rights. And they're going through here as a scare piece, against the fact, and this, Carter being a Baptist, evangelical, Sunday school preacher, which he still is. He's still preaching, or teaching Sunday school, sorry. But they say this, just continuing to rattle this boogeyman. What rang a four-bell alarm amongst intellectuals in early days of the primaries and is still a tintinnabunchling, not even really sure what that means, faintly into their consciousness was Mr. Carter's ebullient, unabashed, and quite unambiguous testimonials to an, quote, experience of God and his calm confidence in his own evangelical Christian mission to institute a reign of truth, decency, morality, and love in Washington. They go on to say, with shock within them, that they're talking about Carter, claims that he prays on his knees 25 times a day and who proudly describes himself as a, quote, born-again Christian, a Baptist Sunday school teacher. And so they begin to look at him and they're attacking him in this. They're attacking him for walking out his faith and his beliefs in this because it can lead to America becoming socialist. They say, what if Carter proves to be not only a man of the political left, a believer in the economic nostrums of socialism under unlimited government, but also a religious reformer who, in his own words, sees political and social programs as an extension of the gospel, problem solving combined with Christian charity? Oh my goodness. So wait, we have a politician that's saying the love of Jesus commands me to go and care for people. And we think that we should be a country that cares for people. So remember, this is a conservative outlet that is attacking Jimmy Carter back in 76 because he wanted social programs to help others. And they end their article with this: I do not for a moment suggest that Mr. Carter is even a potential dictator, much less a dictator of the monstrous stripe of Hitler or Mussolini. What I do say is that a religious leader should be a religious leader, and a political leader should be a political leader. And whoever has attempted to combine these roles has, through history, failed badly at one or the other, and usually both, which leads to the thing that troubles me most about Mr. Carter. His substantial escalation in his experience of Christ is, alas, no substitute for substantial experience of government and a wide knowledge of domestic and world affairs that America now sorely needs. And in all of their worries about this simpleton that apparently has no political experience, even though he was a Georgia state senator and also the governor of Georgia, we won't mention that. But it's interesting. It's interesting to see the hypocrisy flipped over now on Trump, to where everything is, everything conservatives, it's all God, it's all God. But we were worried about Jimmy Carter actually caring about the things of Jesus and walking them out. That was their fear. That was their fear. That's why you can't combine it. Compassion is bad. Compassion is bad. And now, even Christianity is trying to use socialism as a boogeyman. You might as well just make Jesus the boogeyman. Because you know, that boogeyman did happen to say this: For I was hungry, and you gave me nothing to eat. I was thirsty, you gave me nothing to drink. I was a stranger, and you did not invite me in. I needed clothes, and you did not clothe me. I was sick and in prison, and you did not look after me. And they will answer, Lord, when did we see you hungry or thirsty, or a stranger, or needing clothes, or sick or in prison, and not help you? And he will reply, truly I tell you, whatever you did not do for the least of these, you did not do for me. Jesus aligns himself with the stranger, the hungry, the thirsty, the marginalized, those that need clothes, those that are sick, those that are imprisoned, those that are being oppressed. And because of that, he's the dang boogeyman within Christianity today. Because, hey, Christianity, you've forgotten why you exist. And if you've forgotten why you exist, just rebrand and just own it. Own capitalistic Christianity. Own materialistic Christianity. Just do it. Just do it. Do it. Do it. Make Trump your own Messiah. You're almost there already. Just do it and leave Jesus to the rest of us. You take it and make the gospel of Trump, where you preach the rich get richer and only it matters by pulling yourself up by the bootstraps. And those that are wealthy and in power have done it because they have worked hard, like Don Jr. and Eric. Oh, wait, that doesn't make any sense. I'm not sure. But the thing that continues to bring me back to this, and I'll use this as kind of a final thought. This comes from an article from Sojourners Magazine, When American Christians Were Socialists, by Aaron Sanchez. And he said this article here, one of the closing statements he had in this article was this: the Christian socialists were not afraid to talk about class struggle. In fact, it was a defining feature of society. It was a central social sin. Today, mentioning the chasm between rich and poor is often derided as class warfare, as a way to erase the grievance of the poor as a product of laziness and their jealousy. Class is an intersection with class and its intersection with race must be at the center of any social or biblical analysis. And we do not do that anymore. And we can't be afraid of the boogeyman in the room, especially when in many ways, some of that boogeyman ideology speaks very clearly in harmony with the words of Jesus. So I want to empower you to not get caught up with dumb labels. I want to empower you to be thinkers. I want to empower you to read not only the headlines of articles, but also the articles themselves. Shocker. I know there's more words on social media. I know you see the titles on social media and it doesn't always show you the words, but if you actually click on it, there's more words. No, but seriously, I want us to be thinking people that can walk and chew gum at the same time, people that are discriminating and discerning, that are able to pull the meat from the bones. Because ultimately what matters in life are other people. How are we helping those in need? I know I get back to this, it feels like on every single stinking show, but it's kind of one of Jesus' greatest hits. It's kind of the heart of Christianity, of love and grace and compassion and second chances and renewal and us giving of ourselves so that others can find life and dignity and a new tomorrow. So let us not be fooled by others, and let us be driven by the mandate of a compassionate Savior that tells us to go out into the world and do good. And I believe that you can do that. I believe you can. So as we end this broadcast, just a reminder, you can catch us on podcast at www.snarkyfaith.com. Thank you for listening. And I send you out into this world with the holiest amount of grace and peace and snark. Go out and make a difference, because I know you can. I'll catch you again next week. I'm out of here. Peace.
WCOM is listener-supported community radio, and Snarky Faith is only possible through our sponsors. Lumen, a spiritual community of seekers, sojourners, question askers, doubters, and skeptics, is a collective of fellow travelers that embrace the truth that all of life is sacred, hope is real, and tomorrow can be a better day than today. All are welcome. You can find more information at www.lumencommunities.com.